Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guide 365, and today I'm going to review the 4K Blu-ray edition of Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guide 365. Alright, Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, the sequel to the original Sherlock Holmes from 2009, is here on 4K Blu-rays, once again starring Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, and Jared Harris as Professor Moriarty. As far as the sequel goes, I didn't quite like it as much as the first one. There's a great chemistry between Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law, and I think they make a great Holmes and Watson, and Jared Harris I felt was spectacular as Moriarty. Very inspired casting in my opinion, but the overall story arc kind of just didn't work completely for me. But it still has that same visual style, Guy Ritchie film, and it's got a great look to it. But yeah, just overall, it's not my preferred sequel, but hopefully they'll make a third one, and I'm very excited to check that one out. All right, so we're going to talk about the picture quality and the audio in just a moment, but first let's do a quick unboxing. Okay, we have the 4K edition of Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, and if you have the original, the covers match pretty nicely, so you have that going for you. So there we go, the front cover, in the back, and the spine, in the back there, and then interior, it's very basic. All right, now let's talk about the picture quality and the audio. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows has an aspect ratio of 2:40, is an upscale 4K with HDR10 for the grading. So film grain here in this particular movie, using a mixture of both actual film stock as well as digital. I think it looks fairly good, fairly consistent, and a little bit gritty at times, but that's more or less the style of Guy Ritchie himself and a cinematographer, as well as the application of the HDR10, I think adds a little bit of extra element using that visual style. Black levels look fairly consistent throughout the movie. It's got a darker tone to it, showing off the darker, gloomier side of London, but it still looks very good, and no problems in that area. Colors are a bit muted, just like the first film, cooler tones, but for the most part, HDR10 really makes good use of it, and it keeps in style with the first film. Level of detail also gets a bump up, in particular costuming, skin textures, clothing. That all looks really well rendered. Up close shots of buildings and carriages, they all look fantastic as well. And just those overall CGI elements look pretty good. Sometimes a little bit on the soft side, but for the most part, it's fairly consistent and it blends in well with the existing footage. So yeah, 4K presentation here looks pretty good and not too bad use of the HDR. For the 4K audio presentation, we're given a DTS 5.1, and I'm a little disappointed we did not get an upgrade for this release, but considering the first film also supported DTS 5.1, there's no real surprise there. But what we do get, it's a fairly consistent, fairly robust audio presentation. Center channel with dialogue comes through pretty clean and clear, no problems in that area, even during the more chaotic moments. The front channels also handle a lot of the action. They do so very nicely, and there's plenty of action-heavy moments, and it handles the quieter ones as well. The rear speakers are fairly used quite often, consistently throughout the film. Ambience, action, musical cues, even, people, crowds chattering in the background, they're all used effectively. And the LFE is moderately aggressive, not too heavy, not too light, just kind of has that nice sweet spot for this type of film. So yes, the audio presentation here is nothing overly special. An upgrade would have been most welcome, but the DTS 5.1 is more than serviceable. For the 4K picture quality, I'm going to give Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows a solid B+. It's an upscale image, yes, but the use of HDR really brings out those highlights. The Guy Ritchie style is very apparent here, but it still looks good, and I think you'll be very pleased. For the 4K audio, I'm also going to give this one a B+. The DTS 5.1 is a fairly robust audio mix. Everything works here. All the speakers fire off on all cylinders, and while an Atmos would have been welcome, it's still a very good presentation. So that is my review of Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows on 4K Blu-ray. Let me know in the comments section below if you picked it up and what did you think of the presentation. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guide 365. I will see you at the movies.